They taught me the world only makes sense if you force it to.
Needed to help bring the men who murdered his family to justice.
So he could turn out like you?
So that he wouldn't.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them, and I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. This is going to be a very short video because it's going to be a very short story. But I want to talk about it before we get going here. Number one, I discovered this story on Batman's Greatest Adventures when I was in middle school, and this is the cover to that by Walter Simonson. Now, I got this version because it was a better version, but normally here was the title, Batman's Greatest Adventures, and it was a trade that had different stories from different eras up until that time. This was released right after, oh my goodness gracious, Batman Year One and The Dark Knight Returns. Before the movie came out, DC was basically going through, taking advantage of the popularity of Batman at that time, and I don't think that his popularity has waned. In fact, Batman has to be the I don't want to say he's the most popular character of all time. You know, you can debate Superman, you can debate Spider-Man. Really, that's about it. So he's top three. So I'll say top three. I don't know whether there's more Batman fans than Spider-Man fans, or there's more Superman fans than Batman fans, although I doubt it based on sales. Batman is DC's number one selling title. This guy, since the 80s, is just all over. It's kind of funny. Batman wasn't as popular as he is now until Dark Knight Returns came out, and then he exploded, and he has never left the scene. So beautiful cover. Now, it always bothered me even back then. I remember here. So one of the things I'm gonna see if I can get this to be a little bit bigger here. Right here. So this is, I don't know whether Simonson painted this himself or sent it to somebody to be painted, although I would guess he painted it himself. So the cape goes through here, but so does his hands. Now, the way some people can, and I think that was an artistic choice to keep the thing, but it would have been really cool if he just the fingers weren't there. You can still have the outline of the fingers with the cape, but it just looks funny. Same here, it looks a little bit better because here it does look like you can see here that he does grab it with the cape. Here they're the same as the hand, and you can see how clear blue this is. So it is my one that has bothered me for eons, is that he should have just done something so that the cape, you know, he's grabbing it or whatever, or had the cape underneath and then he's grabbing it. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things that always just kind of bugged me a little bit. So all right, enough. So let's get to what I came to show you, which is a short story from Detective Comics 500. And this is a scan of the original. I do have a digital version of it, but we're going to look at the scan first. And so Once Upon a Time is the title of our story, and you can see it's by Len Wein and Walter Simonson. It is a 2-page short story. And I'm going to show you here. So it was a dark and stormy night. Suddenly a shot rang out, and you can see a guy here with a gun. You'll see it better in the digital version here. And all of a sudden points the gun at her, and the maids scream, and everybody here with the gun. A door slammed, and here is Batman just looking so cool, and oh my god, just so freaking awesome. And he dispatches these nameless things. Suddenly a pirate ship approached on the horizon, and you can see there is a pirate ship in a glass, which are still very popular. Batman punches him, and he touched her hand as she sighed, and Batman's helping her up, and they lived happily ever after as Batman leaves. The end. Ladies and gentlemen, watching this video, this story stuck with me. I bought the trade. I was heavily into Walter Simonson's Thor at that time. This is the 80s. I had no idea. There was no internet. I had no idea he had worked on DC Comics. I had no idea of anything. This was the first thing that I ever had seen other than Thor with Simonson. So this book, so back in the day, malls were really important to, that's really where we went. There was no internet, there was no, streaming, there was nothing. Kids left the house and stuff. And I remember that in the mall, there were stores that sold books, like Walden Books, and, oh my gosh, what was the other one? There was another B. Dalton, I think. Yeah, that was the other one. And our mall had both of them. And I remember walking into them and finding this whole section with trades and all that kind of stuff. And just remember looking at this. This is also how I discovered The Dark Knight Returns. I was just mesmerized. So, all right, so now we're going to look at the same story in the digital version here. So you'll see that it looks a little bit more clear. And so the same story here, but definitely much better here. So it was a dark and stormy night. Suddenly a shot rang out, and you can see that they're coming through. You can see that they're coming through the rope. The maid screamed. There they are. A door slammed. Man, this looks just so freaking awesome. Suddenly a pirate ship appeared on the horizon, and he touched her hand. She sighed, and they lived happily ever after. Wow. Simon, like I said, I was just mesmerized. And this, I think, I realized how great Walter Simonson was early in my life. I was in middle school when I first saw this, and it just, I don't know. I have nothing but good memories from watching this story. And so here is the original peanut strip that inspired this little short story here. And so, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Here we go. And so this is from 1969, okay? And Charles Schultz had done this little story here. And Snoopy's trying to write a novel. It was a dark and stormy night, and my new novel is going badly. It was a dark and stormy night, and is this Linus? Your new novel has a very exciting beginning. He says, "Thank you. Good luck with the second sentence." It was a dark and stormy night, and then he pauses. Suddenly, a shot rang out, and he smiles. My plot is thickening. It was a dark and stormy night. Suddenly, a shot rang out. The maid screamed, a door slammed. Suddenly, a pirate ship appeared on the horizon. So remember that part. This twist in the plot will baffle my readers. As he touched her hand, she sighed. And then it starts to rain. He's like, stop reading on my novel. And they lived happily ever after, the end. And he's like, for the first time in my life, I know how Leo must have felt. Leo Tolstoy, that is. So this is the little short story that inspired that Batman story. I thought it was so clever. I had no idea that this was from a Snoopy thing until much later in my life, when as I was an adult, and the internet had started, and just information started being able to be shared. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you here. So um yeah, so again, this is a two-part story from Detective Comics 500. I thought I would share it with you. It's such a good little story. So hope you liked it. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.